The Flash isn't just the fastest man in comics, he's also proven to be one of the most pivotal heroes in the DC universe. Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, Wally West, Bart Allen, no matter who is in the legendary costume, the Flash has always been a hero who inspires.
He always wants to keep moving forward, and every time he falls down, he gets back up. Every time.
Flash has always set the pace in comics. He ushered in the revival of superheroes with Showcase number 4 back in 1956. He introduced the multiverse concept in the classic Silver Age story Flash of Two Worlds, a multiverse that is now a foundational element of DC's comic books, television shows, and movies. He's more popular than ever thanks to Grant Gustin and the hit live-action CW series. And after years of false starts, momentum is building for the Flash solo film, with Ezra Miller back in the title role. And back in print, the Speedster is once again making comic book history, with the news that Jess Chambers will become the first non-binary Flash in DC's Future State event. Let's hop on the cosmic treadmill and celebrate 80 years of the Flash on Behind the Panel. The brainchild of legendary comics writer Gardner Fox and artist Harry Lampert, the original Flash debuted in 1940. College student Jay Garrick gained his super speed after inhaling heavy water vapors in a lab. Because comics. But by the end of the 1940s, superhero comics were fading from the public eye. Flash made his final appearance in 1951 in All-Star Comics. 5 years later, the character returned with a new look and a new alter ego. Forensic scientist Barry Allen was the new Scarlet Speedster, thanks to one random bolt of lightning. That comic, Showcase number 4, has become a milestone in comics. It's regarded as the launching pad for the Silver Age of comics. Can we talk a little bit about the costume, though? The red and yellow costume designed by artist Carmine Infantino became instantly iconic. It has remained essentially untouched for decades.
Carmine was a great costume designer.
You know, his Flash, you really felt the character's movement.
I would argue peak of Carmine's work as an artist. He was the best stylist of the Silver Age.
I think he was one of the best costume designers, I mean, just for the Flash costume alone.
Former DC publisher and comics historian Paul Levitz and comics editor and writer Paul Kupperberg were both fans before they were comics pros. Kupperberg remembers when he became hooked on The Flash.
The Flash was one of those seminal books that I read even as a kid in the 1960s. The concept of the multiverse, it took place in a story called The Flash of Two Worlds. And when Flash crosses the dimensions into this other universe and discovers the original Golden Age Flash, the date on the newspaper that he's looking at is June 14th, 1961. And June 14th is my birthday. So when I saw that, and I saw it in a reprint in like 1964, it was like suddenly that was it, you know.
The Flash of Two Worlds story would have far-reaching implications on the DCU. By introducing the multiverse concept, it allowed for all sorts of cool happenings, like the traditional Justice Society and Justice League crossovers. The multiverse concept is now crucial to both the CW-verse, thanks to the Flash series and the Crisis crossover, and the movie universe too, with the Flashpoint storyline being the focal point of the upcoming film. Flash had become popular enough to land a role in 1967's The Superman Aquaman Hour of Adventure animated series.
Superman, Aquaman, all the superheroes.
Here's a fun fact. Batman may be known for all of his great animated series, but Flash actually made his cartoon debut a year before The Dark Knight.
The Flash, Scarlet Speedster for Justice.
The Speedster would appear a decade later in The Challenge of the Super Friends, the season where the heroes fought the Legion of Doom, before he made his live-action debut. That would be in the monumentally cheesy Legends of the Superheroes variety special.
The Flash! This crime fighter is swifter than the speed of light, fleeter than the rapidity of thought.
Rod Hawes is always the winning answer for trivia questions that ask who was the first actor to portray the Flash. Back in the comics, however, Barry was running headfirst into tragedy. In Flash 275, Iris West was killed by Eobard Thawne, aka Professor Zoom, aka the Reverse Flash. It would be several years before Iris would be resurrected, thanks to some time stream shenanigans. Are you sensing a theme here of the Flash messing with time in the multiverse? By 1985, DC's continuity crisis was real and spectacular. So the company decided to blow the multiverse to bits with Crisis on Infinite Earths. And where there is a multiverse change, you will typically find the Flash. Alan died when he sacrificed himself to save the universe. It's one of the most powerful moments in DC history, and it's a scene writer Marv Wolfman didn't want to write.
DC asked me to kill Flash. I didn't want to do it. He was the original character of the Silver Age. He was the first of the Silver Age characters, and I didn't want to do that. I also felt that Flash could be fixed up, but they insisted upon it. My job was to make it as interesting a death as possible so that you care about Barry Allen.
Wally West, the longtime Kid Flash, who was known mainly at the time as a member of the Teen Titans, would take over as DC's primary speedster. Creators like Mark Baron and Jackson Geis helped Wally carve out his own space. First, they had him drop the secret identity shtick. They gave him a particular quirk where he ate an absurd amount of food to make up for his super accelerated metabolism. That bit even made it into the short-lived but fondly remembered 1990 Flash television series.
Doesn't that give you indigestion?
Only way to get them before they get soggy.
Perhaps no writer had a bigger impact on Wally and arguably the modern Flash franchise as Mark Waid did. Waid's 8-year run on the book, a good bit of it with the late Mike Wieringo handling the artwork, redefined the hero. Most everyone loved Barry Allen, but Wally West very quickly became the Flash for a new generation.
It was kind of groundbreaking at the time. You know, this was the first time a sidekick had taken over the main role. Robin had done it a little bit, you know, here and there. But for the first time, the Kid was now taking on the full title. And it was, you know, really Mark Waid who grew him up, who turned him into an adult. So there's a definite arc of character, even though it falls across a whole bunch of different writers.
Waid introduced the Speed Force, an extra-dimensional power source that fuels all speedsters.
You know, Mark Waid had brought in the whole concept of the Speed Force and the connectivity of all the different speedsters in the DC universe, and they were just playing with those ideas.
He made Jay Garrick part of the supporting cast. He also introduced Bart Allen, Barry's grandson from the future. He would eventually become Flash too, but he was Impulse first. One of the most important elements Waid introduced was Linda Park. As Waid himself wrote in an essay for the Flash 80th Anniversary Collection, it was the relationship between Wally and Linda that made his run on Flash special. Josh Williamson, whose epic 4-year stint writing the title ended this year, grew up reading Waid's Flash.
I'm a big fan of Mark Waid and Jeff Johns, and just being able to kind of go back and touch on the stuff they built and show the things that made me love the Flash when I was young, and be able to bring that and show it now and try to get other people to see what I see and why I love him.
Like just about every writer who preceded him, Williamson loved writing Flash's Rogues Gallery, one of the best in all of comics.
I love them. Like, I love writing them. I love writing them together. I like them apart. The challenge there is people expect them to be together. And so it's like, imagine with Batman, like, you can have a great Joker story, you can have a Two-Face story, you can have Man-Bat and Clayface, you know, you can tell these great stories about the Scarecrow and Mr. Freeze. With the Rogues, it's interesting because you take 5, sometimes 6, 5 of the best Flash villains and you make them a team. Let's say you try to write a Captain Cool story by itself. Everyone just expects the other characters to be there, and so that's always kind of the challenge of them. But I love them. I could write those characters forever.
2021 will see another hero joining the Flash ranks. Jess Chambers, codenamed Kid Quick, will make history in the Future State event by becoming the first ever non-binary Flash. The character is gender fluid and uses they-them pronouns. Kid Quick will take over as Flash when they join the Future State's Justice League. It's in another groundbreaking story in the legacy of Central City's fastest. This much is clear. No DC hero has had as many multiverse-altering adventures as the Flash. We're talking every Crisis event DC has ever released, as well as Flashpoint. The 2011 story from Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert is the character's most important modern-day event. Johns, who helped chart Barry Allen's return to the DCU, plotted a cautionary tale that made Barry the villain of his own story. His decision to go back in time to save his mother's life had a catastrophic effect on the timeline. Bruce Wayne was murdered as a child. Thomas Wayne would become the Batman. Martha would go insane and turn into the Joker. Superman had been a prisoner of the US government since he landed on Earth. Flashpoint is a huge story that led to the reboot of the DC Universe in the New 52. it's been adapted in various ways across various mediums. The DC animated film, Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox, did a faithful adaptation.
It's crazy. My mom's alive. You're Batman. And Diana and Arthur are about to start World War III.
The current CW television series lifted several key elements of Flashpoint for the third season.
What should we call this brave new world that you've whipped up for us? I was thinking Flashpoint.
Even video games like Injustice, Gods Among Us, and Batman Arkham Knight had Flashpoint content available for download. The upcoming Flash solo movie will also adapt Flashpoint. Due out in 2022, it will see Ezra Miller returning as Barry Allen. Details are slim at the moment, but oh, the possibilities are intriguing. Here's what we do know. Flash will meet up with not one, but two Batmen. Ben Affleck is returning as Bruce Wayne, who is Barry's sort of mentor in the DCEU. And Michael Keaton, the OG movie Batman, is coming back as well. How he figures into the story is obviously under lock and studio key, but director Andy Muschietti told Vanity Fair his movie will connect all the various DC films as one big cinematic, wait for it, multiverse. Much like the Snyder Cut 4-hour event for HBO Max, seems like a way to give closure to Zack Snyder's vision for the Justice League, the Flash movie seems like the opportunity to give the DC Extended Universe its own endgame moment. The alternate timelines provide an expansive playground to connect the various DC movie worlds. Seeing Keaton back in the cape and cowl was a pipe dream only the most optimistic fans thought would ever come true. Now, it's happening. And who will be the fulcrum in this multiverse mayhem? The Scarlet Speedster. Flashpoint also provides a pretty obvious opening to put Henry Cavill back in play as Superman, and maybe gives us a chance to see who won the race in that post-credits scene of Justice League. But what if the movie adapts one of the major subplots of Flashpoint, the war between Wonder Woman and Aquaman? The possibility of seeing a battle between the warriors of Atlantis and Themyscira on screen is something else. And who's to say it's not possible? Look how well the Arrowverse Crisis event pulled off the multiverse. That featured one of the coolest cameos ever when Ezra Miller brought his Flash from the movies to the small screen.
Found Barry Allen. No! What does that mean? How can this...
This should be impossible now.
It should be impossible now?
You don't know about the...
Oh my god, don't do this to me. I don't know about the what.
We know DC has a glory boat full of movies coming in the next few years, but right now, none seems to be as impactful as The Flash's film, which means Barry Allen could become as important in the DC movie universe as he has been in the comics for decades. It's a responsibility we've come to expect from the fastest man alive, because we know he can keep up. Hope you enjoyed this week's Behind the Panel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get more awesome comic book videos. Go ahead, do it. And remember, check out my weekly column on SYFYWIRE.com and listen to the Behind the Panel podcast. It's an audio documentary series all about comics and the men and women who create them. Be sure to subscribe from wherever you get your podcasts.